Hey, this is Alan Fenstermaker here with Top Rope TV. I'm here with Tigre Volcan. How are you doing today, Tigre?
What's up, man? Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it, brother.
No problem, man. Now, how's your day going today?
Good, man. Kind of a slow start. It's pretty cold outside here in Pennsylvania, so we're getting there. We're getting through the day.
Okay, cool, man. Now, how long have you been wrestling for?
So I started training about 10 years ago, but really on TV and, traveling and getting my opportunities everywhere with great people about five solid years now.
Okay. Now, where did you train at to become a pro wrestler?
So when I first started, I was brought into the business by another indie wrestler. I think you've interviewed him before. His name's Tim Theory.
Okay.
He brought me down to ECPW, and I started my training down there with Gino Caruso down in Jersey.
Okay. All right. Now, what all do you do to keep in shape for the ring and to incorporate into your training?
I'm constantly training with a lot of guys that I'm on the road with, and and training with my team that I started with from the beginning. I trained with Tim Theory around there and all that. Luca Mancini is still training with those guys. We get our cardio in mostly because that's what we need when we're doing our stuff in there too. We're not the biggest guys, so we gotta rely on our speed and our acrobatics in a way. So our cardio has to be top notch, or we don't get through the match.
Yeah, I got you right there, bro. Now, do you have any inspirations to become a pro wrestler?
Oh yeah. Growing up, my father was a pro wrestler, and he passed away when I was 11 years old, so I didn't get to train with him. But he knew Eddie Guerrero back in the day when he was first coming over to WWE. So I had a lot of time to see that growing up. And Eddie, I grew up with Eddie as my favorite to this day. Eddie Guerrero is my biggest influence, and that's why I kind of got the Tiger mask, because Eddie used it in Japan when he first got started. So that's where all that came from too. So to this day, it's kind of my little homage to Eddie.
Okay. Now, what's your favorite era or time period in pro wrestling?
So I'm big into the luchador stuff from Mexico, but here in the States, I'd have to say like the Attitude Era. There were just so many iconic people. And at the time, you had guys like Brett, Shawn, and The Rock, Stone Cold, all those guys. Which some of them were great at doing promos, some of them were great at doing wrestling, some of them were great all around. So you got a little bit of everything, and I think the fans got a lot out of it back in the day, as they do now, but more so the athleticism and storylines they told back then was just something that none of us had seen at the time. It was all brand new, so that was definitely my favorite.
Okay, now, how has the whole COVID-19 pandemic affected pro wrestling in your eyes?
Rough, man. It's been rough. Some bookings haven't come up as frequently as they do. I'm glad to be working with the people that I constantly work with before COVID. They haven't forgotten us, and they haven't, let us down. We still do our shows. We still make it happen. But it's so different from going from a sold-out 300-person show to now we're wrestling in front of, maybe 25. We'll do it. And everybody, I think, is trained to wrestle in front of either 300 or 5 people. You put on the show that you can, but it's just a different feel. It's a different feel not having the fan interactions because of the guidelines in every state and whatnot. But it's a different feel. It's hard to not have that fan interaction as much there since COVID started. So it's rough. It's getting to a lot of it.
Okay. Now, what did you think of the whole feud between Seth Rollins and Dominic Mysterio and Rey Mysterio getting involved? That whole angle.
I think that whole angle is still unique that they can make it work. At least me as growing up training and as a fan, I used to watch some storylines back in the day where I was like, okay, well now they're kind of dragging it out a little bit too much. The feud's a little there, and I lost interest in it. But Seth is so good at what he does, and of course Rey is so good at what he does. And with Dominic being right there on board with them, they just keep coming up with new things. And then you throw Murphy in there. You just add new elements to the rivalry that keeps it going. Just when you think it's about to be done, like when Seth got drafted over and you thought it was over, here they go. They're back at it again, and they just keep making us hang on to our seats to keep wanting more. So I think kudos to them because those guys are the ones that can make the storyline keep going and keep the fans hooked, especially now during COVID where there can't be any live fans at the stadium. They do their job. So.
Okay. Now, what about the feud earlier in the year with Brock Lesnar and Rey Mysterio?
Oh, see, I was hooked. See, anything Ray does, I grew up watching Ray, Eddie, Dean Malenko, Benoit, Jericho, all those guys in WCW. So when Ray came back and he was feuding with Brock, to me it was just amazing how they made it work. You have the big monster that was Brock, and then Ray being the little guy that he's always been, but being like the biggest man in the fight. I thought that feud was done very well. Using both their wrestling styles to the best of their ability, and then they threw some surprises in there. Obviously, when Dominic came in, but like when Ray was in there, like hitting the 619 with Dominic as well, it was big. I popped at home, and I see it on a daily with things like that in storylines. But if you can get people so hooked into what you're doing and make them pop still in the time that we are now in wrestling, I think you're doing your job there.
Okay. Now, what promotions have you worked for in the past?
Oh, a couple, man. I've worked for MTW. I've worked for ECPW. I've worked for 1CW, which is where I'm mostly at, along with NTW and things like that. And then I just started wrestling for one a couple months ago called Apex Wrestling, which that promoter is amazing. And shout out to them and everybody involved with them because they've been nothing but nice to me, even though I'm the new guy in. And like I said, everything's different now with COVID. So coming into a new locker room during COVID and meeting new people, guys you've never met before, and promoters, make things kind of like, okay, well, what's this guy got? But fortunately, they took a chance on me, and I think I've proven my worth in that locker room as well.
Okay. Now, what are some of the highlights of your career since you got started?
I've had opportunities to meet people that have been places in wrestling, and I'm so glad that I took the opportunity years ago to start to follow Tim Theory into ECPW, because of him I've gotten to meet guys like Rikishi. I got to meet him and be down there with him. I met guys like Metal Maniac from old school ECW days, Nuzio. I got to meet big name guys, and like Boogeyman. I got to meet all those guys to me, and to me, that when I did that earlier on, it was a big thank you to everybody that helped me get there, because I really just wanted to show what I had. Because coming in, I wasn't the biggest guy, I never really have been. But coming in, I want to show that I can perform. I want to show that I can lead by example and put every effort I can forward. So, when I got these guys that have been places telling me, hey, man, you did a good job. Here's what you can work on. But you did a good job. That to me meant everything. So every highlight for me in my career is every time I get to meet someone that's been somewhere and talk to them and pick their brain or work with them. That's the biggest highlight I can talk about when it comes to the things in my career.
Okay. Now, what's your favorite match that you've been in your career?
Oh, you know what? And I don't know. He'll probably watch it, but honestly, my favorite match that I've been a part of, it comes down to two. And it was all this past year, crazy enough. I took on EV2 from NTW, and on my team was Ricky Reyes from Lucha Underground, who was my tag team partner. That was a really fun match, putting that together. And then my next match would have to be, anything that I'm involved with when it comes to Luca Mancini. We have a heated rivalry going on in a couple different places, and he keeps jumping me. I keep getting the upper hand on him, but every time the crowd's just more into it because they keep seeing us battle in all these places, and then eventually they're like, well, we want to see the grudge match. We want to see the end. So, I have a show coming up in December, which I'm really excited, and I think that's where it's going to end, and I'm excited to see. So anything with Luca Mancini in it has been really fun, and my top matches there. Okay.
Now, what kind of shows you got coming up within the next year that you're looking forward to?
It all depends. Like you said, the COVID situation is affecting everybody, every promotion all over the place. I'm really hoping that everything gets a little back to normal. If hopefully it doesn't get any worse. But I'm hoping to take any booking that I can, man, with anybody that I can. I love, when I first came up, there was not many people, but there were people that said, "Hey, kid, you're doing good in what you're supposed to. Just ride with me, and we'll get on TV and wrestle and do what we got to do. And those guys took a chance with me, you know. So I want this year. I'm focused on improving myself, obviously. But any new wrestler that's breaking in, or any new wrestler that really wants a chance or wants to ride the bump, I want to be there to put them, to help them improve and go forward and learn whatever they can. Because I have very few people who do that for me. But I want to be that person in the locker room that people can come up to and say, hey, this is what I'd like to do. What do you think? And then we move forward. If it works, it works. If not, we'll make it work. So,
Okay.
More than anything, be a mentor and a model wrestler in the locker room. So any booking that I can take that they can put me against top talent that established or new, I'm going to take every single one.
Awesome, man. Do you have anything else you'd like to plug or add or anything? Or
Pretty much to anybody that wants to get into wrestling. The main key is be a team player. Be a team player. You got your family behind you. You got your fans behind you. You got a job to do. And when a promoter takes a chance with you on a show, why wouldn't you give it your all? You fought hard to be there. You spent your money going and getting your gear. You spent your money traveling, getting to where you need to go. Give it what you absolutely can, because it's better to live with no regrets than later on regretting, hey, I could have done this here. So my main message is, if you're going to do it, you're full on into it, because you're going to need it, and there's going to be more enemies than friends. But at the end of the day, follow your heart, do what you got to do, train hard, and get out there and wrestle, guys, and have fun doing it.
Awesome, man. Thank you for doing this interview. It was great to have you on the show.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
Awesome, man. Thank you.